Good evening and welcome to Low Cost Recipes. Tonight's Friday night and that makes it pizza night, yeah? So let's get stuck in. What have we got going on? We've got lots of cheap ingredients that will go together to make the most amazing pizza you will ever have eaten. It'll be like it came from, dare I say, Pizza Hut? Domino's, who needs them? Tonight we're going to make it for less than £2, we're going to make it with fresh pizza dough and it's just going to be amazing. Let's get started with the ingredients. You will need this. This is Allinson strong white bread flour. Normal plain white flour will cost you about sort of 80p for a bag. This is strong white flour. And it's about £2, so it's a little bit more. However, I've already made 3 pizzas with this bag, and as you can see, I'm about a quarter of the way through. So it's an investment. Put it that way. It costs you maybe £1 more, but you'll be using this specifically for your pizza dough. Yeah. So that's the first ingredient. The second one is salt. The next one, and I got this from a major supermarket in the UK, so be available, this sort of thing will be available worldwide. This is Allinson dried active yeast, and again this cost next to nothing, and you use so little of it for each pizza you make that again it's an investment. Next ingredient, caster sugar. Next ingredient, olive oil. You can use extra virgin olive oil, but just normal olive oil is absolutely fine. The pizza I'm going to be making tonight is a barbecued pizza. You can use any meat that you'd like in it. You can make it vegetarian. I made a chicken barbecue pizza the other night and that was absolutely lovely. But tonight I'm going to be using chorizo. I don't know how you pronounce that, but anyway, I'm going to be using that. So anyway, let's get on to the amounts of the ingredients that you need. So this is the easiest pizza dough recipe ever. Basically, as soon as you've put it all together, you can use it straight away. However, what I've tended to do is let it rise for about half an hour and then give it a little bit of a knead. But you don't need to do either of those things. So basically, the first ingredient is the strong white flour, and that's 375 grams or 13 ounces. So that goes in first, followed by 7 grams or quarter of an ounce of the dried active yeast, followed by 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of sugar. You can reduce the amount of sugar, it won't make any difference, it'll just make it less sweet. You won't get that sweet taste if you put a little bit less sugar in, which I've done, I've put a bit less in. Now at this point, even though it's not in this easy pizza dough recipe, I like to add just a few herbs, so I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit of oregano and a little bit of basil. Okay, and simply give that a nice mix together, making sure that the yeast is evenly distributed throughout the mixture, because that's what's going to make it rise. So, give that a good mix through now. Okay, and then the next thing to add is 8 fluid ounces of warm water. The way I tend to mix this is about 3 fluid ounces of boiling water and the rest just water out of the tap. So you pour that in and then 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So I'm just going to put those in now. I usually put a little bit in for good luck. So another bit goes in, and then you literally mix it until it comes together. Should only take less than a minute to get it together. So start using a spoon And then when it's really starting to come together, just get in there with your hands and mix. Give it a bit of a knead as you go. It's as simple as that. That is your pizza dough ready to go. Make sure it's all mixed nice. And then it's up to you. At this point, you can let it rest for half an hour or however long you want. Just cover it with a tea towel or a bit of foil, leave it at room temperature, and just let it rest for a bit. Or you can literally go ahead and make your pizza straight away. But what I'm going to do is, now that I know that's nicely mixed now, I'm just going to put it in this bowl, cover it, and come back in about half an hour. Okay, so our pizza dough has been resting for about half an hour. As I said earlier, it didn't need to. You could just roll it straight out after you've made it, but I let it rest. So what we're going to do now is roll it out. And this is going to be a stuffed crust pizza. And in the stuffed crust bit, there's going to be cheddar cheese and barbecue sauce. Okay, I'll tell you about that bit in a minute. But the first thing we need to do is get this rolled out. Here I've got just normal flour. Normal plain flour, but you could use your the strong flour to roll it out also. So let's get going with this. All we need is a rolling pin and get the flour on the surface and get our dough out of the bowl. Okay, right, what I'm going to do now, just for a minute, is give it a little bit of a knead, so that it's going to be easier to roll by doing this. There we go. Just fold it over, use the heel of your hand. There we go. Okay. So, here we go. This is what I'm going to cook it in. You could just use an oven tray, but I've got one of these. I got one for Christmas. So, you know, you could just use an oven tray, it doesn't matter. But this is what I'm going to place it on. So I'm going to try and roll it out a little bit wider than that, because this is going to be stuffed crust. Okay, so get it into a circle. Get your rolling pin and start rolling. Okay, it's actually very easy to roll. It's very malleable, it doesn't fall apart. You just lift it up, turn it over and keep rolling. There we go. As you can see in there, there's quite a lot of, you can see all the herbs. It's going to be nice. This is how quick it is. See, it's getting really quite big already. There we go. If you need a bit more flour, just sprinkle a bit on. Keep it going, stretch it out. Really almost ready now. Okay, you can even go this way like this. It's not, you can't go wrong with this really. Really quite easy. If you feel some of it's a little bit thicker, just roll on that part. Okay, so I'm going to get this now. And I'd say, okay, another little roll. See, there we go, yeah, it's fine. It's easy to move around the table. A bit of thickness over there, so we just roll that out. And I think we need to go a bit this way. There we go. Right, now there's two ways of doing this. Some people would roll it over and then place it on the tray. but I'm just going to try and pick it up because it is so easy. There we go. Okay, and at this point as well, it's quite easy to stretch it if you need to. Very malleable dough. But what you need to do is make sure if you lift up at the edges and then push in, because that makes it go all the way right to the edge of the pan. Now if you were just on a tray, you wouldn't need to be worrying about this. You could literally just roll it over. Roll over the edges. So I would say that is now, we're ready to stuff our crust. Now we're going to stuff the crust. And the way to do this, it's so easy, is you take some cheddar cheese and place it all the way around the edge. Okay? Don't be mean with this bit, because there's nothing better than biting into a crust that's oozing with lots of melted cheese and barbecue sauce. So this part is going to have mature, well, I've got extra mature cheddar cheese here. You could use any sort of strong tasting cheese that melts easily. Doesn't have to be cheddar. So we put this all the way around the edge. And nearly there now. A little bit more. Okay. And then we're going to use a barbecue sauce. This guy has put music in many people's food. So we're going to be using this guy's barbecue sauce. It's absolutely amazing and actually inspired this recipe from me, and you can get it at very good prices depending on where you go. You just have to shop around and literally just pour this now. Okay, takes a certain wrist action at this point. Let it, oh, it's starting to come out, and just let it drizzle over the cheese. Amazing. Okay, there we go. Now you can put more or less on at this point depending on how much you like your sauce. I love it, so I'm just going to town with it. I'm making sure that loads of it gets there. Okay, and now we need to stuff the crust. We need to fold it over. Now just be careful, you don't want to have too much dough here, so go around the edge and just get it sort of even. Pull off the dough that you don't really need as you go around. So I'm going to do that now before I overlap it. Okay. There we go, get rid of these excess parts. And if you need more, well, you've got your dough there. You know, if you've taken too much off, it doesn't matter, you can just add it back on. There we go. Right, I would say now is the time to fold it over. And what I do is press down the junction between, you know, the base and the bit that you folded over, because you don't want the your crust, the filling of the crust to spill out onto your actual pizza. So just take care. You don't need anything to seal it, but you just need to make sure that it's really pressed close together as you go around, and that way it won't ooze out. Okay, so we do this all the way around, and what I'm going to do is just fold it over and then go back and seal it. There we go. And then it's worth taking a little bit of extra time here, because you don't want to ruin your pizza. Just, you want to be able to bite into that crust and to get the oozing of the barbecue sauce and the melted cheddar cheese. That's an amazing bite, I tell you. Okay, so I would say that that is fairly well sealed. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to make the tomatoey base for the pizza. We're not going to put it on the pizza yet, we're going to let it rest to the side while we go and make the actual pizza topping with the chorizo. Okay, so this is all you need to do, it's so simple. Okay, I'm just going to use some tinned tomatoes, not very much. You don't want the base of your pizza to get all soggy because you've made it too wet. So just, I'd say about a quarter of a can, I'd say, of tinned tomatoes. Then add a little music to your food with some barbecue sauce. You know, this is to taste. I love it, so I'm just going to put quite a lot in there. Yeah. Then quite a bit of pepper. And this is just something I picked up really cheap. It's called a rainbow pepper mill. It's got loads of different peppercorns in it. So I'm just going to chuck a load of that in. This cost me like 60p. Then a pinch of salt. And some, oh my god, basil. A little bit much went in there. In fact, let's scoop a little bit of that out. That was a bit too much basil. Okay, we'll just put this somewhere. Okay, there's basil and then there's basil brush. Got a bit of basil brush in there, so I've just taken out a bit of that basil. And a sprinkle of oregano with a lighter hand. There we go. And mix it all together. And let that all come together and all the flavours come together. So set that aside, and the next thing we're going to do is make the meaty chorizo topping for the pizza. So the next thing to do is the pizza topping. The main components of this are a glug of olive oil, garlic, 1 clove. You can buy garlic frozen from big supermarkets, a whole bag of it for like £1, depending on where you go, where you are in the country. So much better to buy frozen garlic. It's so much cheaper and it lasts. You buy a clove of you buy a head of garlic, and you may not use it all. So you can either, you know, you could actually freeze that also. But you know, you can buy garlic in many forms now. You can get it in jars, and even though it says it goes in 4 weeks, it doesn't. You can use it for months afterwards, really. So anyway, there's the garlic. These peppers, I bought these frozen. So I'm just using a little sort of handful of different coloured peppers here. Again, you could buy fresh peppers, freeze ahead. Always a good idea. You're not going to buy 3 peppers and definitely get through them a lot of times, especially say if you live by yourself, for example, you're just not going to get through them. So you can freeze your fresh peppers, or you can buy them in a bag frozen. Far more economical. Same goes for onions. You know, obviously you can just buy a single onion, etc. But if you want them there all the time, just buy a bag of frozen onions and just use what you need. Or buy fresh onions, chop them up yourself and freeze them. If you look online, you'll find ways to prepare your fresh onions for freezing. Again, all of this saves money. So this is how this pizza has ended up costing not a lot of money at all. You know, because I'm just using little bits of ingredients. Anyway, so what we'll do now is add a little bit of salt, seasoning, and some pepper, and my rainbow peppers. and we'll let them saute down. Okay, so these have been sauteing for a while, and we've had a little sprinkle of herbs, but at a very reasonable price for a massive bag. Just need to shop around. We've got some oregano, a little bit of basil. Okay, and at this point you could add whatever you like. You could add some leftover chicken, you could add some mince, you know, you could literally add anything you want really, depending on your taste. Tonight what I've got is some chorizo that I just had in the fridge for a while. So what I'm going to do is just throw it on top, and then I'll add some barbecue sauce on top of this. Okay, just throw it in, really. This chorizo cost me £1, but as I say, leftover chicken from a roast dinner, you know, it's just, you know, what you'd use in, I don't know, a casserole, or, you know, you just throw in whatever meat you want at this point, really. I'm going to go for this whole thing of chorizo, really. You could use pepperoni, use anything. Okay, get the heat going up a bit. And make sure this heats through really, really well at this point. And now I'm going to add some music to my food yet again. And at this point, you don't need to add this if you don't want to, but I think it's a really nice addition. If you're making a barbecue pizza, do it properly. And of course, you can add whatever vegetables you'd like also. If you want to add mushrooms, go for it. You know, whatever you like. At this point, it's up to you. Get creative. Do whatever you want at this point. Whatever you want on your pizza, put it in. You know. And you know, your base, it doesn't have to be barbecue. You know, just get creative. Make it whatever you want. Just keep the tomato base, but add whatever you want. Same goes for the stuffed crust. You know, you just make it tomato. However, I have to say that I love the music, so that's why I'm making it. I'm making music. Okay, so I think pretty much we are ready to put our pizza together and get it in the oven and see how it looks. Okay, so here's the exciting part. We've made our pizza dough, we've stuffed its crust, we've made our base, we've grated some cheddar cheese, we've got our topping, and we have more topping, just a tomato sliced. So let's make a pizza. Okay, now be really careful here. What you don't want to do is overload the base with too much fluid, because it'll make the base soggy. So just be very careful as you add this. Spread it out as you go. Sometimes it's quality, not quantity, and that's very much the case with a pizza. With the base of the pizza, we just want it to coat the base. We don't want it overloaded. Okay? Maybe a little bit more. And with what you've got left over, you can freeze it, make a pizza again tomorrow night. You know, it doesn't need to be wasted. So I would say that's great. That's just about right. We've got a bit left over, but that's okay. Next thing a generous amount of grated mature cheddar cheese. Followed by our chorizo, pepper and onion topping. Let's just put that on. There you go. Obviously use all of this. This is beautiful. So the smells as we were heating that up were amazing. Okay, so evenly distribute that over your pizza, and then at this point I like to add a little bit more cheese so that it goes brown in the oven, and some slices of tomato. Optional, if you don't like tomato, just don't add it. It's okay. Okay. And then, what I think is really nice is just some milk and a pastry brush, and just go around the edges. Of your stuffed crust, so you get a lovely browned pizza at the end. And there we go. There we have it. Ready to go in the oven. Ready to go in the oven at gas mark 5 for about 30 minutes, but do check it as it cooks. You can quite easily get a knife and lift the base up to make sure that the base isn't burning, isn't going too brown. So that's ready to go in the oven now, and we'll come back in a little while to see how it looks when it's ready. So here we are, our cooked barbecue pizza. Let's cut into it and see how it looks. It smells amazing. The dog thinks so too. There we go. And there we have it. Barbecue chicken pizza with very low cost from low cost recipes.